hope all of you are doing well. And this is Aliza, and today's lesson is going to be about decimal multiplication and division. In the previous lesson, we have learned about decimals, how it works, and about the decimal addition and subtraction. So let's get started with multiplication and division. So my first question is going to be 23.5 times 2. So this is like a normal multiplication. As you do the normal multiplication, you can go ahead and see what the answer is coming. So 5 times 2 is equal to 10. So we write a 10 out here. The 0 sits here. 1 goes up right here as the carryover. So these are regrouping multiplications, right? When we have a carryover. 3 times 2 is equal to 6 plus 1 gives us 7. And 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So this is our answer when we multiply the numbers. But keep in mind, there is a decimal over here. So we have to work out on the decimal part as well. Now look here. After this decimal point on the right side, how many digits do we have? We have one digit, that is 5. Just a 5, right? So that's one digit. So after the decimal, we just have one digit. That means over here, you are standing here. You are a bunny. You know how to hop. So you have to jump by one place. And the decimal lands right over here. So your final answer, it is going to be 47. Okay? So you look after the decimal places, how many places you have after the decimal. That is on the right side of the decimal. So counting the places, you jump by those places. Starting from the right side, you move on to the left side in the answer. Okay? I'm going to show you one more example. I'm going to take the same number, just a little bit of changes here and there. 23.5 times 0.2. Okay, so the last time we had a whole number, that is 2. This time we have a decimal one. We have a fractional one, that is a 0.2. Now we are going to multiply this. Same multiplication, 5 times 2 gives us a 10. 1 goes right up here. 3 times 2 is equal to 6 plus 1 gives us 7. 2 times 2 is equal to 4. Now let's count the number of places we have on the right side of the decimal. So from here, we see that we have one digit after the decimal. From the next one, in the previous time, we did not have any decimal over here before the 2. But now we do have a decimal. So we are also supposed to be counting that as well. So after the decimal over here, we again have 1 point. So 1 plus 1 gives us 2. Now you have to hop by 2 places because 1 plus 1 gives us a 2. One place over here and the other place over here. So hop by 2 places. There we go. And we are landing right in between 4 and 7. So your final answer is 4.70, which can also be written as 4.7. Either way is correct. Okay, so your answer could be this or your answer could be this, 4.7 or 4.70. Now I move on to the third example, and maybe we are going to work out on a double digit with a double digit multiplication. So let's quickly erase this part so that we have our code nice and clear. So the question which I have in my mind is 2.35 times 0.21. Okay. If you remember from my previous classes, when you have a double digit right over here at the bottom, right? Take them to be your sibling. This 1 is you and this 2 is your sibling, right? You have to go and speak to each one of your guests. And who are your guests? Your guests are 2, 3, and 5. So you have to, each one of you have to go and speak to each one of them. So forget about this part at the moment. Your sibling will go and do his part or her part. You are supposed to do your part. So we are just going to proceed with the multiplication, which will be from your end. 1 times 5 gives us a 5. 1 times 3 gives us a 3. 1 times 2 gives us a 2. Our job is done. You are done speaking with the guests. Now it is your sibling's duty. So before we move ahead with the sibling duty, we have another 0 over here. I'm going to put a 0, okay? Always remember, when you have a 2-digit multiplication, before proceeding with the next number, always put a 0. In case you have 3 numbers over here, so what do you do in that case? You put 2 zeros over here. As the number increases, the number of zeros increases, okay? So this is the ones place, this is the tens place, this is the hundreds place. So as we are moving towards the next number, we are always increasing the number of zeros. Well, that's a different story. Let's come back to this question. So it's the sibling duty now to go and speak over to the guests. So 5 times 2 is equal to 10. 1 goes right up over here. 3 times 2 is equal to 6, plus 1 is 7. And 2 times 2 gives us a 4. Our job is done, okay? We just have to add the numbers and put the decimal point. That's all. So 5 plus 0 equals 5, 3 plus 0 equals 3, 2 plus 7 equals 9, and a 4 over here gives us just a 4. Now the multiplication part is done. We are yet to move on with the decimal part, okay? So over here we see that after the decimal we have 2 digits. Let's write here 2. After the decimal we have 2 digits. So I'm writing here 2. So 2 plus 2 gives us a 4. We are supposed to jump by 4 places, getting started from the right side, okay? So 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. I land right over here. So my final answer is 0.4935. Friends, just to make it more appealing, you can put a 0 over here. If you do not put a 0, that is fine as well. You are still sticking to the correct answer. If you are putting a 0, that's also fine. So it works both the ways. But I would always prefer putting a 0 when you do not have a number on the left side of the decimal point. Okay? So that was about the multiplication of decimal. If you have any questions related to the multiplication, you can drop your query in the comment section and I'll be pleased to reply you. Well, moving on to the division part now. So what does the division part say? Well, I'm going to speak about the long division way, and I'm also going to show you about how we can do fraction division. I can also show you that. Though I've already spoken about this fraction division in my previous lesson, but I'm going to still give a recap of that, okay? So over here, I have the dividend as 2.6, and I'm going to divide that with a 2, right? So I'm going to use the same way. This 2 and 6 are the people who stays inside the house. This black 2 is sitting there outside the house, who is managing, who is keeping a track of what is going on inside the house, okay? So this 2 is very important, the divisor 2, the black 2, okay? So just because there is 1 digit outside the house, I'm taking 1 digit from inside the house. 2 is actually equal to 2. So we can proceed with the sum. Black 2 times which number gives us the red 2? 2 times 1 gives us a 2. Going for the subtraction, 2 minus 2 is equal to a 0. So either you can put a 0 or you can put a cross, either way you want it. Okay, so I have the decimal over here. What happens? The decimal goes right here at the top. I bring down the 6. 2 times which number will give me a 6 or a number which is less than 6. So 6 is actually divisible by 2, exactly divisible by 2. So 2 times 3 gives us a 6. 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. So either you can put a cross or a 0. And our final answer is equal to 1.3. So this part is called the dividend. This is called the divisor. We have the quotient as 1.3 and we are left with no remainders. I'm also going to show you this division in a different way. 2.6 divided by 2, right? So I'm going to write both of these in the fraction form. 2.6 means 26 divided by 10. Divided by just a 2 means 2 over 1. So that is going to give us 26 divided by 10. This division sign, we have spoken about this earlier, changes into the multiplication sign. And as we do that, the fraction on the right side, it flips. So 2 over 1 becomes 1 over 2. Now we can simplify from here. 2 times 13 gives us 26. So what is our final answer? 13 is not divisible by 10 any longer. So our final answer is 13 over 10, which is yet again equal to 1.3. Okay, so you can find this part, the conversion of fraction to decimal. You will find this part in a different lesson. So you can always check that lesson to learn from there. So do you see, friends? We have the same answer. In whichever way we do it, we still get the same answer. Okay, now moving on to the next part of the question, and that would be, let's see. Well, I have another question in my mind. 0.126. Okay, and we are going to divide that with a 2. So when we have these kind of questions, I'm going to put the decimal right up here. Okay, I'm going to take 1 from here. So 1 is actually less than 2, right? If 1 is less than 2, 2 times which number can give me a 1 or either something which is less than 1. 2 times 0 gives us a 0. Doing the subtraction, again it is coming back to 1. Well, 1 is again less than 2, so we cannot proceed with the sum. What do we do in that case? We bring down this 2. That makes it 12. Now 12 is greater than 2 and we can definitely move ahead with the sum. So 2 times 6 gives us a 12. We do the subtraction. We are left with no numbers over here. We still have a 6 left. Comes down the 6. Okay, friends, do you observe something? We are moving towards the top part of the tree, right? We are not in a rush. We are not taking one whole leap and going to the top of the tree. We are moving to the top of the tree slowly, okay, step by step. So 2 times 3 gives us a 6 and thereby no remainders. So our final answer is 0.063. That is the quotient. What is the dividend? The dividend is 0.126. What is the divisor? The divisor is just a 2. Okay. I would also like to show this question in by turning the decimal to a fraction. So 0.126 divided by 2. So 126. For this step, you can definitely follow the lesson, conversion of decimal to a fraction. So that would be a 1000. Now divided by 2 means 2 over 1. Changing the division sign to multiplication sign, and as I do that, I put the 1 at the top and the 2 at the bottom, right? So that would be 2 times 6 is equal to 12. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. 1000 is not divisible, exactly divisible by 63. So we get the answer as 63 over 1000. If I want to convert this fraction to a decimal, so that would be 0.063. How did we do that? Just because there are 3 zeros, I jump by 3 places, 1, 2, and 3. So just because I land here, I have the decimal. The empty space has been filled with a 0, and we have 63. So 0.063 is my final answer. Okay, moving on to the next sum, and I guess that will be the end of the lesson. Okay, so my next sum is 9.4 divided by 2, or maybe I can take it as 3.2. Okay, 9.4 divided by 3.2. So we see that we have 9.4 and the divisor is also in decimal. What do we do in that case? Let's see. 3.2 I'm taking as a single term. 9.4 I'm taking as a single term. So 3.2 times 2. Let's see, how does it work? 2 times 2 is equal to 4. It gives us 6.4, right? So 9.4 is much greater than that. Let's try out with 3.2 times 3. That is going to give us a 9.6. Well, 9.6 is greater than 9.4. So this would be our perfect match. 3.2 times 2 gives us 6.4, right? We do the subtraction, we get a 0 over here, we get a 3 over here, right? Now, this is 32 and this is 30. Well, 30 is less than 32. We cannot proceed with the sum. And we also notice that we do not have any more numbers in the dividend. What do we do in that case? So in those cases, you put a decimal and you bring down a 0. For the decimal, you got a free 0, okay? Now 30 turns into a 300. So let's see, 3.2 times 9, how much does it give us? It gives us 28. Oh, perfect. So it gives us 288, so basically to 28.8. And that would be 9 over here, so 288. And we are going to get the remainder as a 2, a 1, and okay, am I going wrong in any way? Let's see. So we have a 2, we have a 1, and I get a 0 over here, right? So if I have a 120, then this would be a good match. Well, you might think, from where did I get the 0? Just because I put the decimal over here, now I can put as many zeros as I want in the other steps, okay? So I got 1 0 over here, this black one. I got another free 0 over here. So 3.2 times a 3 will give us a 96. So that would be a 4 and this would be a 2, right? So the sum is going to continue in this way till we come to a certain point, but I would like to keep the answer as 2 places after the decimal point. So my final answer is 2.93. I'm going to show you this sum in another way, okay? Let me see if I can do it here. Well, let me draw a line. So the question was 9.4 divided by 2.3, right? When you have these kind of questions, I mean 3.2, I'm so sorry. So when you have these kind of questions, you see, after this decimal point, there is 1 digit. After this decimal point, there is 1 digit. In those cases, you can actually pull out the decimals and turn it to 94 divided by 32. This can only happen when you have the same number of digits after the decimal point. In the numerator, we had one digit after the decimal point. In the denominator, also we had one digit after the decimal point. So in those cases, I can definitely chuck off the decimal point and I can move ahead with the question. Okay, so you can also solve the question 94 divided by 32. You are still going to get the same answer, right? I'm going to show you this sum in another way. Let's see if I can show this sum in another way. Okay, so our question was 9.4 divided by 3.2. So what does 9.4 mean? 9.4 means 94 divided by a 10. Divided by 3.2 means 32 divided by a 10. Now, as spoken about the division and the multiplication of fractions and decimals in my earlier lessons, so that would be a 94 divided by a 10. I am changing this division sign to a multiplication sign. So the 10 goes up and the 32 comes down. I can simplify the numerator with the denominator. So I'm going to still get the answer as 94 divided by 32. In case you are going to divide 94 by 32, you are still going to come to the answer as 2.93 and so on. But I would love to keep the answer as 2 places after the decimal. So my final answer would be 2.93. So friends, that is how you do decimal multiplication and division. In case you have any queries, you can definitely drop your questions in the chat box and I shall get back to you as soon as possible. Till then, thank you so much, friends. I really appreciate your time, help, and support. Till then, thank you and have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.